Hello, welcome to this class. Last week, we were able to look at place value system of numbers, and we considered the place value of whole numbers up to millions, and also the place value of decimal numbers up to thousand. Thousand. We said that in the decimal place values we have, after the decimal point, we have tenth, which means 1 over 10, hundredth, which means 1 over 100, thousandth, which means 1 over 1,000. And remember, 700 means 7 over 100, which is 0.07 in the decimal part of it. So today, we are going to learn counting in fives, sevens, and sixties. It's just like our normal skip counting, but here we are going to apply it to daily activities. In counting in fives, we know that in counting in fives, we skip count by 5 by counting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and it continues like that. In counting in sevens, we have 7, 14, 21, 29, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, and so on and so forth. It keeps going that way. That is keep counting by 7. In skip counting by 60s, we have 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, and so on and so forth. But in this lesson, like I said, we are going to do what? Apply. In 5, we are applying it in 5 by considering a pack of 5. For example, we can have a question like, if there are 5 pizzas in one pack, how many pizzas are there in 10 packs? All right? If there are 5 pizzas in one pack, how many pizzas are there in 10 packs? Now, for counting in sevens, we are going to relate it to number of days in a week. Remember, there are 7 days in 1 week. So now, the question now comes in this form. If there are 7 days in 1 week, how many days are there in 3 weeks? If there are 7 days in 1 week, how many days are there in 3 weeks? 5 days. Okay? So you see, we are now trying to apply this skip counting or this counting method of skipping numbers to our daily activities. Like now, since we know that there are 7 days in 1 week, I can say, okay, how many days do I need to stay to get to 5 weeks from now? I will simply do 5 times 7, which gives me 35. That means that there are 35 days in 1 week. All right? Then for the counting in 60s, we are going to relate it to time. How many seconds makes 1 minute? How many minutes makes 1 hour? So if there are 60 seconds in 1 minute and there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, I can now ask, since there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, how many minutes are there in 2 hours? How many minutes are there in 3.5 hours? How many minutes are there in 5 hours? How many minutes are there in a day? Then you ask yourself, how many hours makes 1 day? 24 hours. So how many minutes are there in 24 hours? All right? Or I can say, the question can come in this form. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. How many seconds are there in 5 minutes? All right? So we are going to relate this method of counting to the calculation of time. All right? Having said that, let's look at this. Counting in 5s, 7, and 60s. We are going to pick them one at a time. Counting in 5s, we treat it. Counting in 7, we treat it. Then we look at counting in 60s. So let's go. Counting in 5s. In skip counting, remember we start from 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85. Let me stop here. But you know it continues. All right? Now, having said that, let's consider this example. All right? So let's consider these examples. Examples. Number one. The question says, a woman buys 2 piles of 5 mangoes each and 3 mangoes. How many mangoes does she buy? Okay, let's say you have a woman bought 3 piles and 3 piles of 5 mangoes each. And 3 mangoes. Full stop. How many mangoes? How many mangoes did she buy? How many mangoes did she buy? Now let's look at this question. A woman bought 3 piles of 5 mangoes each and 3 mangoes. How many mangoes did she buy? Now, what's this telling you? It tells you that in one pile, there are what? 5 mangoes. In one pile, there are what? 5 mangoes. And this woman bought 3 piles and an extra 3 mangoes. So how many mangoes did the woman buy in all? Alright? So, I can say here, solution. Let's interpret the question first. The woman bought how many piles? 3 piles. And what? 3 mangoes. What does it mean? Remember, this is 3 piles, right? Right, 3 piles. We can separate them to be 1 pile plus 1 pile plus 1 pile plus 3 mangoes. I see it. Now, having been told that each pile contains 5 mangoes, then this can now become 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 3. Now let's add. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 5, 15. 15 plus 3, 18. What does this mean? This means that the woman bought 18 mangoes altogether. Now, we can separate this in parts, or we ask ourselves, if 1 pie equal to 5 mangoes, if 1 pie equal to 5 mangoes, 3 pies will be what? 3 times 5 mangoes. Because there are 5 mangoes in 1 pie. And 3 times 5 is what? 15 mangoes. Now remember that the woman bought 3 piles of mango and 3 mangoes. So what do I now do? I will now bring my 3 piles plus the 3 mangoes the woman bought extra. will now give me 15 plus 3, which is what? 18 mangoes. I see it. All right. So here we are simply applying the skip counting to solve a real life problem. All right. Let's consider this example. Let's consider this example. Example number 2. It says, how many piles of 5 mangoes are there in 41 mangoes? How many piles of 5 mangoes are there in 41 mangoes? Now, if you watch, you see that this question gave us the number of piles and asked us to find the number of mangoes. But here we have the number of mangoes, and we are being asked, if one pile has 5 mangoes, how many piles of mangoes will we get with 41 mangoes? Okay? So, solution. The question gave us 41 mangoes. Or better still, okay, let me write it this way. One pile equal to 5 mangoes. Are you seeing it? Now, it now asks us, how many piles? Let me use a box. A box will give us 41 mangoes. So what we ask ourselves is, how many 5s are in 41? Okay, let's go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Next is 45, right? So we are not more than 4. Meaning that there are 8 5s in 41. Then remaining 1, right? Correct. So we don't tell ourselves, since 41 is 5 times 8 plus 1. 5 times 8 plus 1. We know that 5 times 8 is what? 40. Plus 1 gives us 41. So what do we now have? We now say that therefore there are what? 8 what? Piles. I see it. There are 8 piles in 41 mangoes. Okay? There are 8 piles of 5 mangoes in 41. So therefore there are 8 piles of what? Okay, let me write it here. Therefore, there are 8 piles of 5 mangoes. So there are 8 piles of 5 mangoes. Are you seeing it? We asked ourselves, how many 5s are in 41? And there are 8 5s and 1. So in total, we have 8 piles, 1 mango. Right? Okay. Now, having said that about counting in 5s, let's look at counting in 7. Let's look at counting in 7. All right? Counting in 7s. Okay, let's go from 0, 0, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70, 77, 84, 93, rather sorry, 91, 98, 105. 91, 98, 105. And you know, it keeps going. But remember that we said here we are going to be considering 7 in weeks and days. All right? So we know that there are 7 days makes 1 week. Remember the song? 60 seconds makes 1 minute. 60 minutes makes 1 hour. 24 hours makes 1 day. 7 days makes 1 week. 4 weeks makes 1 month. 12 months makes 1 year. 365 days makes 1 year. 366 days makes 1 leap year. Alright? So there are 7 days in 1 week. If there are 7 days in 1 week, it means that there are what? 14 days in 2 weeks. And there are 21 days in 3 weeks. I see it. But where we are going to have our focus is in the basic, which says that 7 days makes 1 week. Now let's look at this question. The question says, how many days are there in 4 weeks? How many days are there in 4 weeks? Okay, I want to clean this part. Let me clean here. Example. Number 1. It says, how many days are there in 4 weeks? How many days are there in 4 weeks? So let's solve. Solution. What do we have here? Remember, 1 week has 7 days. There are 7 days in 1 week, right? That's what it says. 7 days makes 1 week. Now, what do you now think? 4 weeks. We can decide to spread 4 weeks in 1 week. 1 week, 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. That means we'll be having 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7, right? But instead of doing that, you can simply say, if there are 7 days in 1 week, that means there will be 4 times 7 days in 4 weeks. And 4 times 7 is what? What is 4 times 7? Are you there? Ta-da! There are 28 days in 4 weeks. Okay? Alright. Let's look at this example. It says, how many days are in 7 weeks, 5 days? How many days are in 7 weeks, 5 days? Solution, let's solve. Remember, 1 week has 7 days. Now, 7 weeks, 5 days is like having 7 weeks, plus 5 days. Are you seeing that? 7 weeks plus 5 days. How many days are in 7 weeks? This becomes 7 times 7 days plus 5 days. 7 times 7, 49 days plus 5 days. 49 plus 5 is what? 54. So therefore, there are 54 days in 7 weeks, 5 days. Alright? There are 54 days in 7 weeks, 5 days. Let's consider this final example. Example number 3. Let's say, how many weeks and days are in 17 days? The question says, how many weeks and days are in 17 days? Solution. Remember, 7 days makes 1 week. Now, 17 days will now be what? You can separate them. 7 plus 7 plus 3. Remember, 7 plus 7, 14. 14 plus 3, 17, right? What is this? 1 week plus 1 week plus 3 days. Because the 3 is not up to 7, right? Now, 1 week plus 1 week is what? 2 weeks, 3 days. So there are 2 weeks, 3 days in 17 days. There are 2 weeks, 3 days in 17 days. Now let's look at counting in 60s. Counting in 60s. Okay, let's keep count from 60. Let's go. 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, 480, 540, 600, 660, 720. Are you seeing it? And it keeps on going like that. 780, 840, 900, 960, 1020, and so on and so forth. But like I said, in this skip counting, we are not looking at trying to skip count in 60s to whatever number. We are trying to relate skip counting in 60s with time so that we can be able to solve a real life problem. So remember that 60 seconds makes 1 minute. And 60 minutes makes 1 hour. So keep this in mind. This is a very basic unit of measurement of time. So we are not going to use this and calculate and estimate time. All right? Okay. Look at this example. It says, how many 60s are in 300? How many 60s are in 300? Even from here, you can get the answer. This is 300, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 60s in 300. But how do we do this? We can either do this by dividing 300 by 60. But since we've not done division, but we know subtraction, so we can use the method of repeated subtraction or division pattern to get this answer. So what do? We repeatedly subtract 60 from 300. All right? So let's go. Solution. So we have 300 minus 60. 0 minus 0, 0. 0 minus 6 cannot go. We borrow 1 from here. 2 remains here. Put 1 here. Becomes 10. 10 minus 6, 4. Bring down 2. Then we go again. 240 minus 60. Let's go. 0 minus 0, 0. 4 minus 6 cannot go. Borrow 1, 1, 14. 14 minus 6, 8. Bring down 1, 180. Right? So we go again. 180 minus 60. 0 minus 0, 0. 8 minus 6, 2. We bring down 1. Now we have 120. We go again. 120 minus 60. Let's go. 0 minus 0, 0. 2 minus 6 cannot go. Borrow 1. 0 remains. 12. 12 minus 6, 6. Can 60 minus 6? Yes, it can. So we go again. 60 minus 60. And 60 minus 60 is what? 0. Now, how many places did we subtract? First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So you now see that there are what? 5 60s in 300. So you can say, therefore, there are 5 60s in 300. All right? Okay, let's look at the example number 2. Let me clean here. Number 2. It says, in 2 hours, 25 minutes, how many minutes are there? In 2 hours, 25 minutes, comma, how many minutes are there? Right? So let's solve. Solution. Remember, since this deals with minutes, you ask yourself, since it deals with minutes and hours, you ask yourself, how many minutes makes 1 hour? 60. So you tell me, there are, in 1 hour, we have 60 minutes. Now, in 2 hours, 25 minutes, it can be written as 2 hours plus 25 minutes. 2 hours plus 25 minutes. Now, how many minutes are in 2 hours? Let's start from there. It should be what? 2 times 60. plus 25 minutes. 2 times 60 is what? 60 in 2 places. And 60 plus 60 is what? 60. 120. So this now tells us that there are 120 minutes in 2 hours plus 25 minutes. 120 plus 25 is what? 145 minutes. So therefore, there are what? 145 minutes in 2 hours, 25 seconds. In 2 hours, 25 minutes, rather. Alright? So, you can see that we are now applying skip counting in 5s, 7s, and 60s to solve real-time problem. So whenever we have this, we can find our way. Alright? Alright? So always bring it down to the barest minimum. If there are 5 in one pile, then you can get how many are in 2 piles, 3 piles, 4 piles. If there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, you can get how many seconds are there in 3 minutes. Okay, let me give it as example number 3. How many seconds are in, let me say, 5 minutes? How many seconds are in 5 minutes? Solution. So you tell me, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So in 5 minutes, there will be 5 times 60 seconds. Right? Let's go. 60 times by 5. 5 times 0, 0. 5 times 6, 30. So there are what? 300 seconds in 5 minutes. So there are 300 seconds in 5 minutes. Alright? Okay, this brings us to the end of this class. Remember, use your counting and find the other numbers. Alright? I'm going to send homework over. Do the homework, forward the answers to me. Then in our live class, we will talk about these things extensively and understand them in details. I know we have done so much in one lesson, but take your time, watch the video again and again to understand the concept. Once we pick the concept, then you can go ahead with the homework I'll be giving you. Alright? So see you in our next class, which will be the live class on Saturday. Bye.